Everybody's looking at us because we're hot and we're new media. We're new media, not old media.
Vice Media was once one of the hottest
movements around the world: national security and whistleblowers, crime, war, peace, global economics, and more.
In 2023, Vice Media collapsed in a way no one could ignore. It wasn't slow, and it wasn't quiet. One moment, Vice was still calling itself a global media giant. The next moment, it filed for bankruptcy. Offices around the world shut down. Entire teams were fired in a single day. Journalists who had spent years reporting from war zones and dangerous streets opened their emails and learned they no longer had jobs. This was the same company that just a few years earlier had been valued at $5.7 billion. Disney invested in it. Fox invested in it. Powerful people believed Vice was unstoppable, and yet it ended in total collapse. This was not bad luck. This was a disaster created from the inside. One born from rebellion. Vice began in the 1990s as a small punk magazine in Montreal. It was cheap, loud, and offensive on purpose. It didn't try to be polite or professional. It wanted to shock people. At a time when traditional media avoided uncomfortable topics, Vice ran straight toward them. It talked openly about drugs, underground culture, sex, politics, and violence. That honesty made it feel real. Young readers felt that Vice spoke their language, not the language of corporations. It didn't act perfect, and that made people trust it. 2. Cool becomes a brand. As Vice grew, it slowly stopped being just a magazine and started becoming a brand. It was no longer only reporting on culture, it was shaping it. When Vice covered a topic, it instantly felt edgy, important, and ahead of the mainstream. Cool became something Vice could sell, package, and monetize. This shift attracted attention far beyond readers. Brands, advertisers, and investors began to see Vice as a shortcut to youth culture itself. At the center of this rise was Shane Smith, Vice's co-founder and CEO. He didn't act like a traditional media executive. He was loud, fearless, and openly rebellious. He partied hard, spoke freely, and built an image that felt anti-corporate, even as Vice became more corporate by the day. To investors, Shane Smith wasn't just running a company. He was the face of a story, a rebel leader who supposedly understood young people better than anyone else in the media world. 3. Investors fall in love. By the early 2000s, the media industry was in trouble. Newspapers were dying, TV audiences were shrinking, young people were leaving traditional platforms. Vice looked like the solution. It had online journalism, documentaries, TV shows, and a global presence. It felt modern and fearless. Investors believed Vice had cracked the code to the future of media. Money started pouring in. Disney invested hundreds of millions of dollars. Fox followed. Private investors rushed in. By 2017, Vice Media was valued at $5.7 billion. That number was based on hype, not profit. 4. The crime, money without control. When the billions arrived, Vice did not become careful or responsible. It became reckless. Instead of treating investor money as something to protect, leadership treated it like a reward. Executive salaries grew fast. Offices became expensive, stylish, and unnecessary. Travel budgets exploded. Parties, especially in places like Las Vegas, became famous inside the industry. This was not quiet spending. It was proud spending. Vice leaders lived like celebrities and made no effort to hide it. At the same time, the company expanded in every direction. New offices opened around the world. New shows were approved quickly. New teams were formed without clear goals. Many projects had no long-term plan to make money. Very little attention was given to sustainability or profit. Vice acted as if the money would never stop coming. This was not smart growth. It was chaos fueled by ego. 5. Cultural arrogance. Vice's biggest weakness was arrogance. Leadership truly believed the rules did not apply to them. They openly mocked traditional media companies, calling them boring, old, and out of touch. Inside Vice, criticism was often ignored or dismissed. Employees who raised concerns were treated like they didn't get it. Financial warnings were brushed aside. Discipline was seen as something only boring companies needed. Vice believed its cultural power would protect it from failure. Leaders confused popularity with intelligence and relevance with safety. Because Vice was talked about, they assumed it was untouchable. This mindset slowly spread through the company. Mistakes were not corrected. Bad decisions were repeated. Arrogance replaced accountability. Over time, this attitude poisoned Vice from the top down, making collapse almost inevitable. 6. The human cost. Behind Vice's flashy image were real people doing difficult and dangerous work. Vice journalists reported from war zones, violent neighborhoods, and unstable countries. They risked their safety to build Vice's reputation for fearless reporting. Their work gave the brand credibility and global respect. But while executives enjoyed luxury, workers lived with constant uncertainty. Many journalists were underpaid. Contracts were short-term and unstable. Support systems were weak, even for high-risk assignments. When financial problems started, workers were hit first. Layoffs came again and again. Entire teams disappeared overnight. People who had given years of their lives to Vice were suddenly gone, with no warning. Careers were destroyed in moments, while executives remained protected and comfortable. 7. A toxic workplace. As Vice's financial problems grew, internal problems became impossible to hide. Reports began to describe a toxic workplace culture. Employees spoke publicly about harassment, abuse of power, and inappropriate behavior by people in leadership positions. Many said complaints were ignored or handled poorly. Instead of protecting workers, Vice was accused of protecting powerful figures. Once again, image mattered more than real action. Leadership focused on controlling public perception instead of fixing the root problems. Apologies came late, if at all. Trust inside the company collapsed. Morale dropped sharply. Employees no longer believed leadership cared about their safety or well-being. The company that claimed to stand for truth, justice, and accountability failed to apply those values to itself. 8. The digital illusion. Vice claimed it understood the internet better than anyone. In reality, it depended heavily on platforms like Facebook and YouTube. Vice did not own its audience. It rented it. When algorithms changed, traffic dropped fast. Advertising revenue collapsed. Expensive video projects failed to make money. Streaming deals didn't deliver profits. TV channels lost millions. Vice looked huge from the outside, but inside it was fragile. The business model could not support the lifestyle and ambition of its leadership. 9. Denial and delay. By the early 2020s, the warning signs were impossible to ignore. Revenue targets were missed, debt increased, investors grew impatient. Still, leadership delayed hard decisions. Instead of shrinking responsibly, Vice kept chasing growth. Layoffs came too late. Cost-cutting came too late. Leadership refused to accept reality until there was no escape left. The longer they waited, the worse the damage became. 10. Bankruptcy. In 2023, Vice Media officially filed for bankruptcy, marking the end of an era. The company that once symbolized rebellion, youth culture, and modern journalism was sold for a tiny fraction of its former value. Billions of investor dollars vanished almost overnight. Thousands of employees lost their jobs, many with little warning or support. Newsrooms closed, projects were canceled, and years of work disappeared. While executives moved on to new roles and fresh opportunities, workers were left behind to face unemployment, broken careers, and an uncertain future. What was once a cultural powerhouse became a clear warning of corporate failure. Vice did not fail because the world changed. It failed because its leaders refused to change. Arrogance replaced discipline. Hype replaced planning. Ego replaced responsibility. Vice became the very thing it once mocked, a bloated corporation that confused image with substance. Cool stopped being honest. It became a performance. And when the money stopped, there was nothing real left to protect. Outro. The fall of Vice is a warning to every modern company. Culture cannot replace competence. Hype cannot replace profit. Being famous does not make you smart. The real victims were not the investors. They were the journalists, editors, and creators who believed they were building something meaningful. If you want more gripping stories about corporate disasters, hidden power, and the human cost behind billion-dollar failures, subscribe to the channel. Because the next collapse is already happening and most people won't see it coming.